this is Charlie from Charlie's Awesome World of Adventures, and today I'm going to give you my review on the 2022 Cheaper by the Dozen remake. The Bakers, because our family where the couple Zoe and Paul had brought their two different families into one. And however, for Paul, all source business gets a high stamp, and the family moved to a new place to help the business more. Well, which does bring some problems for the family that Paul doesn't realise. I'm going to start this off by saying that I have never seen any of the old Cheaper by the Dozen films, not the original 1955 film or the 2003 remake. So this film is like my first introduction. But man, has this movie been getting a lot of hate. There are a lot of people that despise this movie for millions of reasons. And you know what? I absolutely don't see what the hate is about, because this is actually a pretty fun and enjoyable feature. So let's start with the characters. The film does try to focus on a lot of characters, but despite having a lot, you do pick on the right ones that they want to use. Let's begin with the main couple, Paul and Zoe. Who may not be the most original characters, but they do show some care for each other. Where Paul wants his source business to be a success while not noticing the family's problem, and Zoe is the mother trying to look after the kid, and who also tries to support her husband on the side. There is also to help the family out. There is Kate, Paul's ex, who sticks around the house as the nanny needs the kids. Speaking of which, the film does have to focus on 10 kids, but they only pick a few for the film to mainly focus on. And you know what? This is the best example of the saying, less is more. As these guys are pretty well developed, look, despite not having the most original personalities, whether it be Deja, the basketball player who meets this boy she gets a crush on, or DJ who wants new looks to try and impress a girl, and Horace, who is dealing with bullying at his new school and gets help from Seth, and the cousin to the family who moves in with the Bakers after having trouble with his old place. The one thing I'll criticise about the characters is that the film does try to put in way too many antagonists. Look, I'm one who doesn't mind having too many villains in the movie, which is why usually for my Tales of Solo films, I use group villains with like one main villain and the others as the henchmen and trying to help the villain with their own goals. But here, the film tries to use way too many antagonists. Look, the business owner, as Paul has to please, or this mom who doesn't care about the kid and always thinks that a nanny is the best thing to look after the kids. The only one that I think it could have worked as a villain then would have been Dom. Zoe's ex and Deja and DJ's birth father, who has a bit of rivalry with Paul, or who actually relates to a theme that I will talk about a little later. I also want to give credit the voice acting for doing a good job, whether it be the kid is doing an alright performance, or the adults who are trying to keep up with the young ones, as well as teach them a few things with the acting, which is shown within their performance. But so now let's move on to the story. The film has 3 acts, and they all are different from each other. And by that I mean I have different feelings for each of them. The first act I find to be pretty mediocre, where it's just not much of a plot, as it's just a family dealing with their original life in their old place. And it's nothing spectacular, but nothing to write home about. However, when the second act kicks in, that's when the main story begins. It's where Paul all tries to impress Estie's new business owners to show them what his source is capable of. That is where the story does start, as it builds some side plots for the main character, for the rest of the characters, so as to revolve around the main story. The main story ain't anything exciting, as it can be a bit predictable, but the side plots really do help mainly with the development of the characters that they go throughout the film. Rather be Daisha starting to feel like quitting basketball when she's not given much focus in the team, and move on to a boy she likes all helping his cousin out dealing with bullying. However, the third act is probably the worst part of the film, really weakening the whole feature. As it really puts the movie, either the second one, out of balance, as it can drag on way too long. However, I'm better wondering what this theme was with the characters that I was going to talk about later. Well, the film actually does well of highlighting racism. So, as you know, racism is a common problem in life at the moment. But our movies have shown this. With the new Cheaper by the Dozen, the film really shows the problems with racism, of how it's not the best way. How kids are being bullied because of their different skin, and all how new parents are struggling when the old parents doesn't want their black kid is hanging out with a new white that this is mainly being shown with Dom and Paul's relationship. The movie shows both sides of racism, somewhere nobody is perfect on that scale, and handles it in a really well done way, and that can give the audience something to think about after they finish watching the film. And then there's the visuals. I'll start off and say that the visuals aren't anything spectacular, nor should we expect them to be. It's nothing really exciting, as there's not really much to go to, as it's taking place in a little suburban area. And not to mention that there's not really many places for the characters to go. Mainly like the house, the city, that back garden, a bit of the school, and a little pool. Where Zoe lets the kids play and hang out with her new mom friend. However, keeping it simple is never a bad thing. as it can also be used to an advantage, and the film really uses simplicity with the visuals to show that they're not supposed to be spectacular. This is a more smaller slice of life type of film, so the visuals really show this as trying to be a family comedy. Which actually reminds me of something I forgot to say, which I'll say quickly before I get into more of the visuals, that this movie is actually pretty funny. Offering some really good jokes that are more hits than they are misses. Says, I'm being really funny with this family situation. Anyways, back onto the visuals. Also, the film takes pride in its simple look to make them more unique and perfect for a film like this. While it's not trying to be a big, high budget live action film, but it's trying to be something more simple that you can find on streaming services like Disney Plus. So overall, I don't know how I can compare this to the other Cheaper by the Dozen films. But I can answer that this one is definitely so far the most overhated movie of the year. The 2022 Disney Plus Cheaper by the Dozen film is a fun and enjoyable experience that gets way too much hate than it should. I can't say the movie is perfect, especially with the first and third act being pretty weak. But it does make up for it with its nice simple visuals being pretty funny, some enjoyable characters, a solid second act and handling its main theme of racism some really well. This won't be the kind of film where you'd be rushing to see it. But if you're ever looking for something simple to watch on Disney Plus, then this won't be a bad choice. It's a good one to get the whole family together to have a fun time and learn an important lesson. This movie is definitely not the best thing you can find on Disney Plus, but like the Bakers, there is a little charm with it, and that's why I'm giving the movie a 7 out of 10. Nothing spectacular, but nothing to really worry about either. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Feel free to comment, like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.